Hey, good morning, Leslie. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, James?
I'm awesome. I'm excited about this topic today of talking about where we started from and where we're going and what we're going to use from the foundation that we built early on our careers in our sales and investing and move it into the times that we're moving into now and how to capitalize on that. I think it's a very, very important topic to go.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go back to the beginning. When did you get started in real estate?
So I started in 2013, thankfully to you for having my back and whatnot and getting me going. So I started in 2013. I ended up taking a break for about a year, coming back, starting out just like a normal agent would, doing open houses, sending letters to your sphere of influence, posting on Facebook and whatnot. And that got me 0 deals. So I started talking with one of my coaches that our brokerage at the time had hired to help agents, and we sat down and talked about a game plan of prospecting, right? So sitting on your butt is what he said for 3 to 4 hours and just doing some circle prospecting, cancels, expireds, for sale by owners. And I said, okay, sounds good. I didn't do it, right? So I didn't do it
Not
for
right
the first
away.
6 months. Ran into him again at the office and he said, hey, how are things going? And I said, I've made 0 sales. He's like, man, you got to get in there and do your calls. I'm like, I just don't want to do that. I did that at Grand Canyon University, sitting in a cubicle, just making outbound calls. And it was pretty miserable, right? He's like, well, do you want to be successful or do you not want to be successful? I'm like, what kind of success are we talking about? He's like, how would you like to make 250 grand to $1 million a year? I said, yes, that sounds amazing. So I started doing exactly what he said, right? And at that time, I was living in a single wide trailer, watching my friend's dogs because she was a travel nurse for 3 to 4 days a week. And then I rented a room for my brother in a duplex. And so I was kind of like, had no money. I was trying to house sit and then live with my brother at the same time and trying to flip some cars as well. I almost got a job at a bank again because I was a banker prior to that, just to kind of get some income in. Thank gosh I didn't get hired for that. I even applied for it and I didn't get hired, which was crazy because I was one of the top bankers at Wells Fargo years prior to that. So I'm living there. I just have a couple $1,000s to my name and I'm dating my girlfriend who is now my wife. And she was very supportive of whatever I wanted to do. I went from owning nothing and having just a couple $1,000s in the bank to now, if we fast forward, did 318 deals last year with my team. Did a little over 100 personally myself. I own 21 doors. 20 of those are rental properties. 14 of those are paid off. And we have a very healthy passive income coming in, and I'm running an amazing team. So I went from what everybody likes to call rags to riches, right? But all that happened by building a foundation and getting out of my comfort zone. Because again, I didn't want to do the cold calling. I didn't want to do the door knocking. And one of the hardest things was reaching out to my sphere of influence for them to support me in my business. I don't know why, and it still kind of is a little bit. But luckily, the success has shown that I can do it. And so a lot of those people just reach out to me organically through the success I've had.
Sure. Well, you've come a long way, no doubt about that, and achieved a lot of success in the business. So
Yeah.
let's go back to when you started and you were talking with that coach and they said for you to make calls. What year was that when you actually got on the phone?
2014.
2014. Okay, so let's go back and remember what the market was in 2014. We had, just climbed out of the Great Recession. So did people have a lot of equity in their homes then?
They had very little equity. I think that's one of the hardest things to overcome, right? Because prices were still really low. Equity was very low with sellers. Buyers were still very, very hesitant to buy because they were worried that real estate wasn't a good investment and they just didn't know what to do. I mean, we just came out of the greatest recession that we had ever had, right? And there were people that were builders, real estate agents that are now working at Costco, Trader Joe's, etc., that you saw that were making gobs of money back in the day to working at a retail store. So everybody was fearful. Everybody
So
had
what
been
were the
affected.
conversations like that you were having with people?
When it came to for sale by owners, it's just showing them like they had their property listed for this and asking them, hey, if we're able to take this over for you, net the amount you want after closing and closing costs, commissions and closing costs, would you be willing to work with me, right? And it didn't happen right away. And it wasn't the first phone call. Like there were follow-up after follow-up after follow-up, door knock after door knock, dropping off information. Like it was a lot of work to get
So
in the
how
door.
long did it take you to get your first deal from when you started putting into action the plan the coach gave you?
It took me less than 30 days.
Less than 30 days to get your first
Yeah.
deal.
Yep.
And then in that first year, what did you end up doing?
I ended up closing 24 deals, making just about $50,000 that year. So my first closing was July 1st, and I closed another 23 after that. So the end of January or
So it
end of
picked up
December.
for you real quick, because
Yeah, it did.
that's a decent year, 24
It was
closings in a
addicting.
year.
It was so great to see that success start happening. I'm like, all
Yeah,
I have to do is make some phone calls. Like, okay, it's not that
right.
bad. Like, I'll go after this for sure.
Okay, so you started making a little bit of money. You had 24 deals. When did you make your first investment? When did you decide you wanted to become a real estate investor?
I decided I wanted to become a real estate investor because me and my wife were living in where we're living now, the Preston Country Club subdivision, and we were renting a room downstairs that had like a little living room area, kind of separated basement. And my wife wasn't getting along with the lady that we were renting from. And she's like, I need out of here. I need out of here. I'm like, it's $400 a month. Like, we're saving a bunch of money. What are we going to do? So I started listening to Bigger Pockets and other investors. And so I decided I wanted to buy a duplex. So I reached out to somebody within our brokerage, and they said, yeah, I'll take a look. They called me literally 5 days later and said, hey, I got this duplex. It's not on the market. If you want to go look at it, it's $190,000. I was like, okay. So I went and looked at it, ran the numbers, and I told Shannon, hey, if we rent out this other side for X amount, we'll only pay $300 a month, right, to own our duplex. So we ended up doing that. It was amazing. And I was like, wow, okay, this works out really well, because if I move out of this, move into a different house, then I can cash flow $600 a month. So I did that because another friend of mine wanted to sell a house, and he's like, hey, it's in really rough shape. It's been rented for about 2 years, and the tenants haven't taken care of. And I'm like, where is it? And he told me the address is right down the street from my duplex. So me and Shannon took a look at it. He told me what he wanted, which was 150 grand at the time for the house. And I was like, boom, I'll buy it, right? Because I just saved all this money up and ready to go. So I rented out the duplex, bought this house, fixed it up, lived in it. The mortgage was $800 a month. 2 years later, moved into a different house from a website lead that came in. Got a really good deal on that one. Moved into that, rented out the Rockland house, made $500 on that. So I'm at $1,100 cash flow, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. At the same time, I'm making 50 grand, 180, 300. And then when I'm in Rockland, I double that to 600 grand. I'm like, woo. And I'm living off of maybe 40 grand a year, my wife and I, because we didn't have a whole lot of expenses. We're not bougie or anything like that. So we just kept saving and saving. So at that point in time, then I stopped moving into those other houses and just buying rentals that would come up from friends, family, or clients, right? When I go to a listing appointment, they're like, I want out of this. I'm like, I'll buy it from you, and this would be the price. I don't have to pay commissions, closing costs, or do any of the showings. They said yes. I ended up started buying these properties. Then finally I moved into the house I'm in now and just started dumping all the income I could into rentals, right? And it turned into owning nothing, living in a single wide trailer, to the 21 doors I own now, and making in excess of 250 grand passive per year. So I'm financially free at this point in time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And did you know at the time you were doing what everyone's calling house hacking right now?
Yeah, I did not know that at the time. that term came a year or two after, I mean, I'm sure it was out there, but it wasn't really highly pushed.
Right.
And it's set me up really well. And the thing that's really nice is the cash that you make in real estate. So I look at it as like a freeway, right? So you're on the freeway of retail sales and you want to do rentals. Ooh, cool. That fits into the freeway. Put another car behind you, right? Hard money. Cool. That works. Fix and flips. That works. Coaching. That works. Like everything. It's not like, hey, I'm James and I sell real estate and I bake cakes, right? So I'm not diverting from any of that stuff.
Right.
I'm
It's
just
all real
staying
estate.
in my own lane.
Right.
So it all works out really well. There's no side hustles.
New little branches on the tree of real estate.
Yeah, exactly. And then you move from 24 sales to 318 like we did last year. But the big thing, and I'm trying to tell everybody this, is the market that we're in now is similar in a lot of ways to the market that I started in, right? But what I'm grateful for is that I built that foundation and I built the skill set when it was slower, so that when it got busier, I could take full advantage of that. Which I think is massive. And I think if anybody wants to get into real estate right now is a good time to build that up. You're not going to be, you can make gobs of money because there's going to be a lot of people that are afraid. Agents are going to leave the business and there's going to be more opportunity out there regardless. And I think, like you and I have talked about, a lot of my mentors from the Great Recession and now probably doubled or tripled their net worth within that recession time because they weren't afraid to take the chances or,
Right.
and go out there.
Right.
So I think right now for anybody that wants to be an investor or they want to be a real estate agent, now's the time to build that up, practice your skill set, use the time that you have because it's not as busy to go to the seminars, go into coaching, practice your skill set, do the stuff that you're uncomfortable with.
Sure. And I think what's really great to remember is that you had focus on what you wanted to do. You set a plan, you had focus, you moved into the first place, and you lived below your means. You went to the next place, again, wasn't a grand place, but you were an owner occupier. You probably got great financing for that. You lived there for a couple of years, moved out, bought your next one. And so it's that steady focus of always adding, then always living, being focused to live below your means. Don't spend everything you make because that's how you're going to have the money to invest.
Yeah.
And if you do that over time, real estate's a great investment. There's other great investments over there, but you have to live below your means so you have money to invest.
I think another key point to that, and you can probably talk to this too, is like being on the same page as your spouse, right? So saying, hey, we have to make some sacrifices for the next few years so that we don't have to make sacrifices for the rest of our life. And being on the same page of like not spending a bunch of money, not buying nice cars, big houses and whatnot. And I remember a few of my friends, when they saw my success and whatnot, they'd be like, you live in a duplex or you live in this neighborhood?
Yeah.
Why don't you buy a nicer car? Because I had a Toyota Corolla at that point in time. And I'm like, I just don't need that stuff, And I've had friends that were clients of mine that are like, why aren't you driving a nicer car if you're a real estate agent? It's like, because obviously I don't have to because I'm already got the success and I just don't need that type of stuff. So being on the same page as your spouse, but also like not listening to the outside noise of you need more, you need to keep up with the Joneses type of thing. And the one friend that brought that up to me, his marriage fell apart. He's like not doing well financially, and he was doing well financially, but he kept buying all these vehicles and these houses and spending a bunch of money. And so if you're on the same page as your spouse, you're not listening to the outside noise, you can change your life in a matter of 5 years. I became financially free after 5 years of being in real estate, right? And that's over 150 grand in passive income. So it's not like I just covered my bills barely and I'm saying I'm out of the rat race. It's I had money to save as well and still live the life I wanted to.
That's amazing.
And the question that always comes up is, why do you keep working then? Why do you keep doing it? It's because God put us on this planet to give back to other people and to use our skills that he gave us to reinvest in other people, reinvest in ourselves, reinvest into our kids, their kids, and our other family members. So I'm not just going to give up on that. Is it tempting? Yeah, at some points it's tempting, but I really enjoy it still. So I'm going to keep going after it.
Well, you can only goof off for so long.
Yeah.
You don't like to have a purpose. And if you're doing something you're good at, and you're giving back, then that's very satisfying. And that's a life you want to live.
Yep. So really comes down to reading the right books, being around the right people, having support like how I had your support through my career and leveraging those people and just building that foundation so that when that foundation's laid, it's poured, you can build up on top of that and then you have your own little skyscraper. So
James, I think we should put together a list of book recommendations and add it to the comments.
Yeah. I'm down. Yep. Yeah. I will send that to you.
That'd be great.
And it's not a bunch, there's a few key ones, probably 5 of them that we'll put in the comments and get that out there. So
right. But establishing that habit of personal growth through reading regularly is a great success habit to have. So
absolutely.
Definitely.
And if anybody has any questions, feel free to put in the comments or you can Google me or give me a call, 928-308. 4700 928-308-4700. I know, Leslie, you're going to be doing a business planning, which I think is amazing. So for 2023, so reach out to Leslie as well. We'll put her phone number and email into the comment section and see what you guys can get going. Because right now, this last quarter is when you want to build that business plan for the next year.
What you're doing right now is going to impact your 2023. And also, you can still be working towards your goals in a slower market.
Easy.
You can still be investing in this market if you know how to find the right deal.
Yep.
So you don't have to put off your plans just because the market's changing. This is an opportunity
to adjust. And I think the biggest opportunity that you're going to see is when I first started in real estate, there was about 600 real estate agents in the market, right? Now there's 3,000. And I think that number is going to go down pretty significantly. And so when those people get out, and you're still in and you're still building your skill set, guess who's going to get the call when the
Right.
market starts building back up, right?
Right. Well, there's a
And we'll
lot of
start the same cycle over and over again.
agents that are going to be retiring
Yeah.
next years too. So
Or being forced to just leave.
sure, if they're not willing to put in the work. So
Yep.
the ones that are willing to put in the work and stay focused are the ones that are going to win.
For sure. So thank you for the interview
Yeah.
though, Leslie. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. This has been
It's
great.
great talking to you.
Hope this builds a lot of value for other people. And again, reach out to Leslie or myself and we'll see what we can do to help you. All right. Thank you, Leslie.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.